the next topic, which is DEIB, laying the foundation for better education. The members of the group are Alcibiades, Reyes, Marisstella, Guevara, and Gabriel Rodríguez. The first participant is Alcibiades Reyes and will be presented by Carlos Castillo.
Alcibiades Reyes has a bachelor's degree in Gestión and Institutional Management from Dr. Armodio Arias Madrid High School. Alcibiades is currently a senior student in the English degree from the Centro Regional Universitario de Coclé, Penonomé campus. There, he has taken part in several international and national conferences which have helped him to set his goals and furthermore build his personal profile for a professional field. He is passionate about music, who dreams of becoming an inspiring teacher or a good customer service worker in a multinational company. Let's welcome him.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for the introduction. As Professor Tanya already said, the name of our presentation, I would like to go further to the meaning of DEIB, which is a compound of four words, and the D stands for diversity, the E for equity, the I for inclusion, and the B belongs to belonging. But let me tell you a little bit about the diversity in the education. The diversity in education is a characteristic that is about and getting involved with the ages, with the capacity, the sexual orientation, with disabilities, religions, cultures, languages, socioeconomic status, and so on. It's like a collective expression of us as a community that also seeks to create a proper educational environment in which students and professors feel that they belong to it. The diversity works hand by hand with the equity, the inclusion, and the belonging together to form the word DEIB. That is a requirement to have a proper educational level. Now that we know what it is, let's see the importance of it. The importance of the diverse education, I would like to introduce to you this with an example. Let's imagine that we're in a classroom full of students with uncountable differences. This just means that we are going to have a bunch of different viewpoints. The ones that the students are going to take to increase their abilities. They are going to be more creative, empathic, or they are going to be open-minded. And that's the most important one. When students face new realities, new people, they also face new problems. And the same problems are the ones who are be working with the solutions. And those solutions will be the best today to increase their problem-solving abilities. But if we talk about the diverse in the education, we also have to talk about the multicultural education, which is a way of teaching in which the diverse, in which the characteristic of the people stand out, to embrace their fears, their abilities to focus on their strengths. And using this method, they turn their shyness into a confidence shield to focus only in the thing that they are best at. Having this in mind, I would like to talk to you about the benefits of our diversity in the education. At first, we have prepared the student for diverse workplaces. Through the experiencing, the students acquire a new ability, the ability to get related with others easily. And this lets them to communicate in an effective way without lacking understanding. The second, increase their confidence and safety. When you are in a place in which you are listened with respect, in which you feel that your opinions are valid, you have an incredible field to practice your confidence. The same confidence that won't let you down, the confidence that will not go anywhere. With this, you will not feel unsafe again to defend your opinion. The third, challenge against stereotypes. This is more related with the socioeconomic status. You know that there have always been stereotypes through the academic field. And in this case, if you have a classroom full of different socioeconomic status students, you mean that you will break in the always said stereotype that the high class is always the smarty party of the game, while the low class is seen as just a burden. The fourth is improve the decision making. Wider the vision field is, the wiser they are going to be. While students interact, that while students get in touch with others, they face problems, they face solutions, they face reality. The same one that they are going to be the tools to the students create an objective perspective of why they consider the best for them. And therefore, they are going to increase the decision making. And the last one, but the most important one, is that they become multicultural. This has a lot of to do with the humanistic part of us as humans, because the humans tend to acquire knowledge through the interaction. They tend to acquire knowledge of their classmates, like their culture, the language, the traditions, everything. And often this goes alongside with different nationalities or even religions. And this makes a student multicultural. They are enhancing little by little their knowledge about different things unconsciously. That is what multicultural skills are. Thank you, and I would like to pass the lead to my classmate Marisstella Guevara, who is going to talk about equity.
Well, meanwhile, Mrs. Lam is back. I'm gonna keep going with the topic, and so we don't take too much time. As my partner, and thank you, Elsie, for the introduction as well. Equity is a term that we have heard not commonly, however, at least once in our life we have heard about it. And equity has a route to achieve it and will not be accomplished through treating everyone equally. That's a quote from the Race Matter Institute. We have to first differentiate equity versus equality. And we have to know that both words are not the same. Equity, it's equal to fairness. However, equality is equal to sameness. Both terms doesn't represent the same, but people confuse it pretty much almost all the time. And we have to differentiate between them. Equality first promotes fairness and justice. However, it has a clause by giving everybody the same thing, but it can only work if everyone starts from the same place. That's pretty much different to place everyone in the same place. But what happens if we doesn't consider the necessities of each individual? Then that's when equity take the role. Equity, on the other hand, is about making sure people get access to the same opportunities. Let's define quickly what is equity. Equity recognizes that each person has individual circumstances and allocate the exact resources and opportunities needed to reach an equal outcome. For that, we can say that equity is about being empathic with other situations. Of course, the needs that my partners, Gabriel and Alcibiades, could have to be in the English school will not be the same I have to be in the English school. So we have to think in a thoughtful way, and of course, equity is one of the harder things to accomplish, even more than equality. If we have to summarize equity in 3 words, we could say that equity is generic, group focused, and equal. Moving into the topic, we have to say that equity is truly complex when it comes to accomplish it. And it will be achieved by treating everyone equally or justly according to their circumstances. The complication with equity is that people often disagree on what is just or fair. And these are terms that create controversy, and people believe it's a taboo. However, it isn't. If we place ourselves in a new era of technologies, if we exemplify this with examples, of course, and we place ourselves into the pandemic, what happened with some of our classmates? Some of them did not have access to internet. Some of them did not have computers, and they have difficulties to face the virtual classes. However, others didn't. And that's when equity tells you, okay, we can have the same opportunities, but your needs are not the same as mine. Some fun fact about equity is that LGBTQ people, Black people, and Indigenous people have not only fought for equality, but also continue to fight for equity in society. So it's not just a matter of us, it's also a matter of everybody. Then, why it's important to have equity? Equity ensures everyone have access to the same treatment, opportunities, and advancement. Mainly, we heard about equality and we have to have the same opportunities, or we need to be in the same position as everyone. That's one of the biggest controversy we have nowadays. However, how can everyone be in the same position or at the same place if they doesn't have the tools or they doesn't break up the barriers they have in their life to achieve that? Of course, we have to place ourselves in each individual situation. For that, we are not equal. The goal of equity is to identify and eliminate barriers. That's pretty much important. We could have many barriers, but if we don't pass them out, then we're gonna keep on the same level. And that's also an issue with teamwork. We get into teams, we work together, but sometimes we like to be pretty much individual. And that's not how life works, actually. So we have to place ourselves into everybody's situation. And remember, your needs are not the same as everybody. We have to see that equity have many advantages in education. When we implement equity in education field, we could see a breach of opportunities and a door being open. But for that, we also need the cooperation of teachers and educators all over the world. Teachers need to place themselves into a neutral spot. We have to, of course, analyze our students, and we have to have a way to handle each situation. But we cannot place ourselves into everyone has the same way to work or the same access to everything or the same tools and give all of the students the same treatment, because we have different needs, problems with accessibility, we don't have the tools, the incomes, the resources. So we have to also see those barriers that could affect the students' advance. Some advantages are opportunity to overcome barriers and become successful, promote each student's particular way of learning, increase accessibility to tools that can advance studies, set up a strong family-teacher connection, have a beneficial effects on the community, cut crimes, and tackle poverty. But we have to see which are the groups that have low equity, ethnic or racial minorities. We have fought for this over the time, and we know that we still face a bridge between the ethnic and racial minorities. Even though we are fighting for not having discrimination, still there. Low earnings, those parents who have low income or students who doesn't have an economical support to keep pursuing their dreams. First generation students, those sons or daughters who born from parents that did not have access to a higher level of education or are analphabetic. The student with learning disabilities. Of course, there are many students who face a lot of struggle just because they have learning disabilities. However, this is also a manner of us as classmates. We know if a person, or we could manage any situation with a person who has learning disabilities, but we have to also research about it, look for it. We cannot simply stay with the basis. We will face these all groups whenever it comes to education, whenever it comes to jobs, any situation in life, we will have to face barriers. But we also, as people, need to be empathic with everyone around us. This was a little bit of my presentation about equity. Remember, treat others as you like to be treated. We are not the same. Don't believe you are over somebody and try to be a better you. How? By growing, by incorporating people. Try to be more social. Try to be extrovert. Don't stay always in the comfort zone. Now I will give the word to my partner, Gabriel.
Okay, before giving the opportunity to Gabriel, I want to say sorry because I was having troubles with my signal, and that's why Carolina Castillo did not introduce Marisstella, and she will do it right away. And after Carolina finished, then it comes Johan Gonzalez to introduce Gabriel Rodríguez.
Thank you, Professor, and don't worry.
Thank you, Mrs. Lam. I am going to introduce Mrs. Marisstella Guevara. She is the current IELTA student organization president and was an IELTA student organization committee member from 2022 to 2023. She is a senior student of the English degree at Centro Regional Universitario de Coclé, Universidad de Panamá. Nowadays, she works as a general assistant at Delicias Velita restaurant in Agua Dulce. She has a bachelor's degree in science from Rodolfo Sherry High School, Agua Dulce, Coclé, Panama. She has been an English tutor for 3 years and is currently working in this field. She has participated in international and national webinars, seminars, and conferences as a speaker, moderator, and coordinator. She is fluent in Spanish, English, and Portuguese from Brazil. She is excited and willing to become a teacher after her prom. For Miss Marisstella, when you do what you love and make you happy, it allows you to transform and see the world difference.
Thank you so much, Carolina, for that introduction.
Johan, your turn.
Gabriel Rodríguez graduated with a science bachelor at Salomon Ponce Aguilera High School in 2019. He's currently an English senior at Panama University, where he has participated in national and international conferences such as COVID Blueprint, practical strategies for teachers and students, bedtime stories, virtual family engagement, leadership without being in church, and leading English leadership. A branch of opportunities. He was a teacher in Tranquila Elementary School in the English biome time and distance project in 2021. Last year, he participated in the children's theater presentation, A Morning of Fantasy, and he had an outstanding participation in the history telling contest. Are you afraid of the dark? Gabriel loved listening to pep talks and hence motivating others. He seeks to become a great educator and therefore a role model for introverted people. His motto is embrace the I, love the self.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you for that wonderful presentation. First of all, I want to ask you if you can hear me because it's raining hard in my community. Can you hear
Yes,
me?
we can hear you.
Okay, thank you. Let's talk about inclusion. Inclusion means respecting, accepting, valuing, and incorporating all people into society. But to understand the concept of inclusion in the most accurate way, it's necessary to highlight the difference between integration and inclusion, because those concepts seem to be the same or similar, but they are quite different. Okay, the concept of integration involves an individual joining existing groups of which she or he was not a member before. On the contrary, inclusion means and involves creating an auspicious environment for individuals to feel welcome and comfortable, and thus play a role and actively participate within the groups they are part of. Because I can integrate you into my group, and yet you can feel like you are not part of it. And that's because inclusion means that you need to feel great within my group, that you need to feel valued, listened to, and above all, that you know you are appreciated just as you are. If you don't feel like that in my group, we will not work well together, honestly. We will be fighting each other all the time. And that's why inclusion is important at school. The inclusive education means the academic training of open-minded people who will then create a more inclusive and therefore safer society. It can lead to the restructuring and also the improvement of the system of education and bring some benefits such as education for all, the reduction of social barriers, the implementation and development of social and emotional competencies, better academic achievements, and what I consider is the most important, good self-esteem in students. However, even with all the new technological advances, the education is not inclusive in most of the countries. But what can we do to promote inclusion? Okay, to understand the complexity of this problem, it's essential to recognize the marginalized groups who still struggle in search of education. For instance, women who suffer limited access to education, inequality of opportunities, harassment, bullying, intimidation, among others that they suffer. People with special needs who are victims of prejudices, victims of all the harassment of people, also the lack of opportunities, support, and accommodations, and the worst of all, the segregated education. The LGBTQ community who suffer discrimination, bullying, harassment, and the lack of LGBTQ representation and guidance, and people discriminated against, who are the victims of socioeconomic barriers, prejudices, also people discriminated based on their social status, their their skin color. I was thinking in Spanish. Their social management, because it's different, the social status and the way they manage themselves in front of other people, the ethnicity, and their religion. Then what should we do? At first, it's important to recognize that the change begins on the inside of each one of us, because you cannot support inclusion and not practice it. You cannot say you want to see a change, but you don't want to change. That doesn't work. Then there are still some strategies that can be applied within classrooms to promote inclusion, such as being open-minded and free of prejudices, being respectful and tolerant, including some inclusive learning techniques, the encouraging, of course, of collaborative learning and implementing pep talks, the celebration of culture, diversity and equality, uniqueness of the students, and all that have to be with inclusion, and receiving academic training on teaching people with special needs, even sign language and Braille. Even it seems to be like a tedious process, it's necessary that we apply inclusion because it's essential to improve the quality of education and hence the students' life quality and the society itself. These three aspects that we already mentioned, which are diversity, equity, and inclusion, are really important. And they point the way to our next topic, which is belonging. Belonging is a sense of security, acceptance, and to feel connected with other people. Belonging is a human need that it's really essential for our well-being as it positively impacts our physical and mental health, our relationships, and overall our lives. the sense of belonging, it's important at schools because students need to feel related to something. They need to feel they are part of their class to correctly carry out their activities. I'm going to give you a personal experience to exemplify this situation. I was a shy boy who didn't like to overthink, to share his ideas. It was really hard for me to express myself. And during virtual classes, because of the pandemic, I tend to isolate myself a lot because I didn't actually know any of my classmates. But when we returned to face classes, my classmates immediately made me feel that I was part of the group. And that was something that changed the perspective I have of my group because they praised my ideas, in such a way that I thought to myself, my God, I'm really good at this because they made me feel like that. I don't know if they were lying to me, but I decided to keep with the positive of that situation. Then I started to improve my social and communication skills because that sense of belonging gave me new growth opportunities and it certainly improved my self-esteem. I'm pretty sure it has also helped my mates, but what about you guys? You want to share any anecdote with us?
Yes, of course. I would like to bring back the term of the university. To be specific about the English school. I know that sometimes for us could be very complicated, just feel that we belong to any place because we could spend years of our life in a precise place where we don't feel that we belong to it. But while I was moving to the university and I was increasing my skills, I realized that the English school has almost all the DEIB because we are a diverse group. We have people from different ages, from different part of the country, with different thoughts, and we have the way to make it everything equal. Um, I remember when I used to do my speeches with Miss Tanya, in which I felt so nervous in front of all the people, but my classmates were kind of shy, and also they were tender because they were always supporting each other while you were speaking. And I think that that's exactly what the belonging means, that you feel that you are okay communicating with others. I really feel that I belong to the English school.
That's actually amazing, and I can agree with both of you experience. I have experience as well. But since you move into the university, I will bring back a memory from my early childhood when I was in elementary school. There was a girl who came into the school when I was in fifth grade. She was Muslim, and for that, she has her own way of dressing, her own way of look. However, some kids, kids are very innocent. But I want to bring back this memory because as adults or future educators, parents, or members of our society, we have to also let kids know that everyone should be treated in the same way. This this girl arrived into the classroom and I remember all my classmates were looking at her like she was a total strange, like she doesn't look like us. And I tried to integrate her pretty much as I can as my friend. But of course, as they came from another culture, she had this particular way of having her hands painted with henna or her hair smelled to some oils they use on their hair. But it was not a bad smell. But the kids were innocent and began bullying her. However, sadly and unfortunately, some months after, the teacher did not make any move and she left the school. I remember her pretty much. She was very shy, but I think as young people and future members or adults, we have to also let kids know that there will be people who has different situations. They will look totally different and they will be part of anything that comes with us as friends, classmates, workmates, or as people that casually meet. And we have to know that everyone should be treated as well equal. To conclude this topic, we would like to say that babes are a manner and we have to pay attention to them because if they are misconcepted, then we will have issues to actually getting to the goal of achieving all the babes. I hope this topic was of your interest and I know we are happy to see you here. Thank you so